So, kind of a rough week this week. A lot of you guys know that we've had issues with our truck basically since we got here, and it's been like 2.5, almost 3 months since we've been here, and we just kind of just keep having problems with our truck. And none of them, we had gotten all the major ones fixed, and none of them after that had been extremely important to fix immediately. Like, we need new tires, and we need a bearing, and we need new brakes for the front and stuff like that. None of those are extremely important that we had to replace immediately. But I went to Fort Worth area, which is a little over 40 miles from here, 2 days ago with the boys to go pick up something, and my truck broke down. And my husband was at work. I didn't know anyone. I honestly only knew where I was because of the GPS, and it was just a really scary situation. When, it's not something that I really, I guess, prepare for, all of the phone numbers that I had were of people that were at work already, and those people couldn't really help me because they're not allowed to have phones in the workplace. So no matter what, I was basically screwed until like 6 hours later. But what happened was my radiator hose popped off, and I had just gotten a new radiator hose about 3-ish weeks ago, and I put it on myself. Radiator hose, if you know, is not terribly hard to put on. You just kind of need a lot of strength for the clamps to put that back on the pipe. But I was really shocked that it came off and there was like gunk sprayed all over my engine. Thankfully, I saw immediately what the problem was. I'm not extremely knowledgeable when it comes to engines, but I know enough, and I've been DIYing with the truck since we've had it. So I know enough, but the whole engine was smoking. We pulled over to a gas station. My youngest was asleep in the back, and Courage, my oldest, was like, "What's wrong with the truck? Why is it smoking? Are we gonna die?" kind of thing. And I just had to reassure him, and I went out and popped the hood, and it was an easy fix, but I didn't have any tools. And I was in an area that was highly populated with non-English speaking people. So there thankfully was a Mexican man, and he only spoke Spanish, and so I know just un poco, just enough to get by. So I spoke my broken Spanglish to him, and he understood me, and he helped me put the radiator hose back on. And thankfully, I was able to drive slowly and make it all the way back to our campground. But still, that was a very scary situation because I had no one to call. I know no one. I haven't made any friends at church that I hang out with on a regular basis or anything like that. So I didn't have anyone. So yeah, I don't know what I would have done if I couldn't have resolved the problem. We do have like roadside assistance, so I would have been able to get something towed, but still that wouldn't have been ideal at all with the kids in the back seat and having to have car seats and stuff. Anyways, made it back. The next day we go to leave. Yesterday we go to leave, and the truck basically wouldn't shift, and I couldn't get anywhere, and the truck was just acting really abnormal. And so I was able to slowly make it to the mechanic guy that I made friends with here, and he is a really nice guy. He reminds me a lot of Lloyd, who some of you know is my mentor and kind of my father figure. He reminds me a lot of him. He's really nice, really honest, really laid back, and will help you as much as he can. He'd probably give you the shirt off his back if he had to, kind of guy. So I took it over there. He looked at it for free and basically told me I needed a new radiator. My transmission fluid is somehow leaking into my coolant, and basically the whole thing's just screwed. So he doesn't work on diesel engines. That's the problem. There are not many diesel mechanics here in this small town where we're staying, and my truck cannot actually get to a bigger town to where diesel mechanics are. But we found like one guy who was a reference from the people that we go to church with, and he gave us a quote of about $900, which I called my mechanic friend, and he said, yeah, that's probably about right on about how much it would cost. So holding back my tears, I was like, okay, well, that's fine. We'll try to figure out some way to get it done. But I talked to my husband last night, and it's basically, it is what it is. You know, it's just the truck is having issues and we need to get them repaired. And the only thing we can do is to just fork over the money and get it done. It's a really crappy situation. We don't have a truck now until it gets replaced, which really sucks for me and the kids, because we had been going places like to the library and to the store and to some church activities. So it's a sucky situation, but if you're gonna be a full-time RVer, especially a full-time family, you have to realize that stuff like this is just gonna happen. And the whole truck situation is completely unpreventable. There was no way that we could have taken measures to prevent our radiator from doing what it did. So no matter where we are or what we're doing, stuff like this is just going to happen. And if you're going to be a full-time RVer, you really have to make sure you understand that you're going to be really far from your family and friends and anyone who can help you in situations like this, like get rides to places or help you find a good trustworthy mechanic, or even a mechanic who is a friend who could give you a discount or work just for labor or stuff like that. You know, you have to understand you're totally out of your element, and when stuff like this happens, you're basically on your own, so you need to be prepared. And I'm telling you, you need to be prepared, especially financially. You need to have like a little amount set aside for emergencies like this. We do not have a little amount set aside for emergencies like this. So do as I say, not as I do. We do have a little bit saved up. It's not nearly enough. Since all the stuff had been happening with the truck, basically my husband's money has been thrown into the truck, and then our second biggest bill, which is food. It is so expensive to feed little kids. So those two things have been eating at his check quite a bit. So we had slowly just started to save because we were hoping to hit some sales around Black Friday to get new tires and to possibly get brakes, which I don't think is just not going to happen. But we were hoping to hit some sales, and even into Christmas they have sales on stuff like that. So that was the goal for the little amount of money that we had saved. But now we have to spend all that plus his check that he's getting in order to get the truck replaced, or the radiator replaced. But in situations like this, which are going to happen, I mean, things like this just happen. You really just have to stay positive. You know, this is something that probably would have happened if we lived in a stick and bricks house. You know, stuff happens no matter where you're at. So the important thing is to always stay positive. I am so thankful that the truck is deciding to take a total piece of crap on us right now while my husband has a job. If we did not have a reliable job right now and a steady stream of income, all these breakdowns that are happening with our truck, we would really be screwed. So taking a step back and taking a look at the big picture, which is, thank you, God, that my husband has a job and we're able to eventually get these repairs fixed. And so having a good attitude about any situation that you're in is going to really be key to maintaining a positive atmosphere in your RV, because if not, every little thing that happens is just going to get to you all the time. You know, we've been here a few months and we've had 3 flat tires, and one of them I was all by myself in town. Thankfully I had a phone and I was able to call roadside assistance. It was so dark out and I probably shouldn't have been driving. I didn't go too far. It was just in the local town. But I can't see as well at night for some reason, like signs and stuff. But I'm just always uncomfortable in driving at night in general by myself or by myself and kids, because I'm a female and females tend to get taken advantage of out there more than guys do. So anyways, thankfully I called roadside assistance for the first one that happened, and for the other 2 that happened, we were close enough by Sam's Club, which we're members of, and they repaired the flats for free for us. So we have 1 tire right now surviving on 2 patches, and 1 tire we had to get replaced, which is on our spare tire. So we need to get our spare tire fixed before we go too. But no matter what, stuff like this is just going to happen. Any of you who are preparing for this lifestyle, it is so wise to have money set aside for emergencies like this. You know, just don't do as I do and just do as I say, because I mean, so many people around here have had emergencies, and I've bumped into some families that have had emergencies and, you know, don't have anything. I mean, they don't have a job, they don't have a check coming at all, they don't have any money left over, they don't have any family or friends, and they're really just screwed, which puts them in a really vulnerable situation, because if they have to go ask the state for help or any kind of help from agencies, that could put their whole family at risk, and that's not anything that you want to do, trust me. So asking for help from major players like agencies in the state is just not wise if you're going to be a full-time RVer. You know, if they look into stuff and they don't like what you see or like what they see, that you're living in an RV and you're in a predicament where you have no one and you can't even provide for yourself and your kids, and that's no bueno. If that's the situation, you probably shouldn't do this at all. Although I'm fully aware that sometimes it's just totally uncontrollable. I know a whole family in Florida who live in an RV not by choice at all. They lost it all. They lost everything. They have 4 kids, and it's the mom and dad, and they boondock all the time. They're never at a campground. They can't afford it. They have no money, and they do live off the state, but they stay in town all the time. And I think that they keep their living situation on the down low. But I'm very thankful that my husband has a job right now, and that eventually we will be able to have our truck fixed. And it's gonna wipe us dry, but I know that there will be another check coming next week. And although we're living paycheck to paycheck, it's so much better than not living to any money at all coming in. So when we lived in a house, we lived paycheck to paycheck, but it was way worse than the situation we are in now, because our electric bill was always sky high. It was like 200 plus. You know, it was insane, and the house was so drafty in the winter. Our gas bill was extremely high. It was horrible. We were in debt constantly. At least on the road, we're not in debt. You know, we don't owe electric companies or phone companies or cable companies any money. We don't have any debt. The stuff that happens on the road, we pay cash for. There's no credit cards. There's nothing like that we have. We don't even use credit cards for emergency backups. I mean, if crap hit the fan and we had absolutely nothing to do and no one to turn to or anything like that, then I would either call my best friend or mother-in-law or father-in-law or something like that if anything got that severe. Thankfully it really hasn't, but I'm just saying some people are in a situation where you can't help it, and that's just what happens. But being thankful for your situation is really important. You know, the people, we had a couple of RVers over there, their whole axle went out on their RV, and they had been full-timing for 7 or 8 years, and that pushed them over the edge. They said that they were going to stop RVing because there had been so many things like that. Now, they traveled way more frequently than we do. We're at a spot for like a couple months at a time, and then we move on. But they traveled like once a week, once every 2 weeks. So having road repairs and stuff like that is going to happen more frequently than what it does with us. So anyways, that's what's going on. Our truck is broken. Currently don't have one. Thankfully, we have enough groceries to last us until we get the truck fixed, and hopefully we can get it fixed soon. I don't know. We'll see. We're keeping a positive attitude and not really letting it get to us, because letting it get to us isn't going to do any good. Being stressed out and being angry and mad at the situation does absolutely nothing. It only makes it worse for you. It makes it really bad for your health and your attitude and your well-being. It's just an awful way to be. Be thankful always, you know, and this is not a whole thing if you believe in God or not. You should just be thankful. Be thankful you're alive. Be thankful for, you know, that you have a roof over your head, that you have way more than probably a lot of other people do. Just be thankful and be positive. You know, that kind of attitude will probably take you a long ways. So that's my update. So thanks for watching.